Hello, everybody. I hope you've been having a good Monday. Mine was busy, but we got a lot of stuff done. My master's degree came in the mail the other day, so I'm hyped about that. And we're going to talk about some politics. Now that I always like the term the dust settles, and I mean that's from a bunch of different places, but in particular it comes from the whole the American Civil War in Kaiserreich, where after you win, depending on who you win as, you get an event. The event's called the Dust Settles. But I think it's just very emblematic of what the aftermath often is of situations like this. Because you have the catastrophe, you just have so much stuff that's going on, so much stuff that's just being thrown around, and then almost in the is that better? Let me know if the audio is still bad. I'll see what I can do about it. Let me just make sure I have the right entry. I just moved closer to my mic. Yeah, I have the right one selected. Hopefully the AC isn't too bad. Like I said, I live in Western Canada. It gets hot here in the summer. So, what will Biden's legacy be? We'll get to that in a second. But I think now that it's been 24 hours, 28 hours later after Darkside Brandon himself was overthrown, let's just take a look at what's happened. So, people can correct me if I'm wrong, but we haven't seen Biden's legacy in the last 48 hours, have we? Maybe someone can, we haven't seen Biden, have we? He's just kind of vanished. It kind of reminds me when the first emperor died, they hid it by, keeping his body in, a carriage or something and trying to cover up the smell of decaying flesh with rotting fish. So let's just take a look at the timeline. So I can't remember the last time Biden was seen in public. It might have been sometime last week. Then he allegedly got COVID and just completely disappeared. He was apparently receiving treatment. I don't think we've seen... When was his interview with NBC? If someone could post that in the chat. So he had his interview with NBC. He allegedly got COVID and then disappeared. And we haven't gotten any kind of meeting. We haven't seen him on TV. We haven't gotten any real statement. All we've gotten out of Biden is this extremely sussy letter. And that's about it. So at this point in time, so we haven't seen him in 7 days. So we don't know if Biden's even still alive. Let's do a poll. Let's start this off with a poll. Is Biden Now, someone pointed out that this doesn't look like his signature, so let's take a look here. Biden. Let's see. What does Joe Biden's signature look like? I guess that looks like his signature. Okay. So he could be comatose. He could be whatever. Anyways, here, let me just close my eyes for a second just so I can focus on this. So we haven't seen Biden in over a week now. All we got there were some leaks. I remember listening to some political stuff on Friday and Saturday that said that Biden was furious at Obama, that he was determined to fight, that Jill was going to go and do fundraisers for him in Paris, that there was no way that he was going to step down no matter what. Stuff like that. So then he disappears, and we get complete radio silence for 24 hours, and then we have this statement out. So let's just take a look at this. So once again, this is 2 days ago. We must defeat Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. If we go back a couple days, where are we going? Pitch in to our campaign. Biden was tweeting. Well, he wasn't tweeting, but Biden's person was doing this. He was saying, "I'm stuck at home with COVID." Oh, this is sussy. "I'm stuck at home with COVID, so I had the distinct misfortune of watching Donald Trump's speech at the RNC. What the hell was he talking about?" This doesn't sound like Biden at all. The COVID cope. Okay, so he's been saying like basically none of this hints at an exit. We have "I'm sick," but I don't really see anything I just gave to Joe Biden that would indicate that he was getting ready to step down before this like hostage statement came out. So let's just read this, because this is interesting. "My fellow Americans, over the past 3.5 years, we have made great progress as a nation." Is nation a proper noun? I don't think it is. Or maybe it is. I don't know. "Today, America has the strongest economy in the world. We've made historic investments in rebuilding our nation, in lowering prescription drug costs for seniors, and in expanding affordable health care to a record number of Americans. We provided critically needed care to 1 million veterans exposed to toxic substances." I'm not sure what that means exactly. "Passed the first gun safety law in 30 years, appointed the first African-American woman to the Supreme Court, and passed the most significant climate legislation in the history of the world. America has never been better positioned to lead than we are today." I don't, like... Okay, somebody points out, no, not unless in a name like Nation of Islam. Like, if they were to say the American nation, I think that would be capitalized. But isn't nation just a generic term? I don't know. "I know none of this could have been done without you, the American people. Together we overcame a once-in-a-century pandemic and the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression." What is he talking about? Was the economic crisis of COVID as bad as 2008? I don't know. Maybe it was. I don't know what he's even talking about. Where did the Great Depression even come from? I don't know. "We protected and preserved our democracy." I'm pretty sure democracy is not a proper noun. "And we've revitalized and strengthened our alliances around the world." With who? Okay, we'll get into his legacy in a minute. Let's just get through this. "It's been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president, and while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country, and for my own personal safety and the personal safety of my family, to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. I will speak to the nation later this week in more detail about my decision. For now, let me express my deepest gratitude to all those who have worked so hard to see me reelected. I want to thank Vice President Kamala Harris for being an extraordinary partner in all this work. And let me express my heartfelt appreciation to the American people for the faith and trust you put in me. I believe today what I always have, that there is nothing America can't do, and we can do it together. We just have to remember we are the United States of America." Does this sound like Biden at all? Like, this doesn't sound like something Biden would write. Okay. You know what? This reminds me of something. Okay, red alert to Soviet story. This reminds me of a scene from Red Alert 2. Just bear with me for a second. Okay. Here we go.
General, good evening. Brilliant as usual, I see.
Thousands of Parisians fleeing their homes today is absolute chaos.
The United States is at its knees. We owe this victory to superior leadership on the part of yourself and General Vladimir.
Thank you. Your greatness is only exceeded by your generals.
I have a special announcement to greet our latest success. I am now promoting Yuri as Supreme Commander of Soviet Armed Forces.
What?
Effective immediately.
You are behind this, Yuri. I know this for a fact. It appears all Vladimir is unhappy. Pity.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that scene. Okay, and then he endorsed Kamala in a follow-up. Is that even on this account? Because he says, I want to thank Kamala Harris for being an extraordinary partner in all this work. So where did he endorse Kamala? Let's just take a look at this. Where did he endorse Kamala? I don't see that post on his Twitter. Am I crazy or something? Okay, we have this. Or was it in a reply? Okay, so there's no endorsement of Kamala that I can see on this. We have, from 2 days ago, him asking for money. Okay, now we have Kamala Harris. We have this hostage statement from Biden. I'm endorsing Kamala Harris to be our next president of the United States. I believe it's my best interest to stand down. Today I want to offer my full support and endorsement for Kamala to be the nominee of our party this year. Democrats, it's time to come together and beat Trump. Okay. We must defeat Trump and J.D. Vance. Okay, so they have changed it to Harris for president now. But I don't see a statement here endorsing Kamala. Let's take a look at like Biden's official account. Okay, where are we? Here's something weird. Okay, here. This is a Brooder film. This is jet fuel can't melt steel. So in this document, he says democracy, our democracy with a capital D. Here it does not say our democracy with a capital D. Let me see. Does he spell nation? No, he doesn't. So that's kind of sussy, to me at least. Okay, great for America. Where's Kamala? I don't. Could someone confirm this with me? I don't see an endorsement of Kamala on either his personal account or his POTUS account. I don't know if someone could confirm this, either message me in the chat or on Twitter or on something. I don't see it. Any kind of endorsement of Kamala. Okay, so that is weird. But Biden announced this. There's been no public statement. There hasn't even been like a terrorist hostage video of him like in the hospital bed, and you can see the like CIA guys in the background pointing guns at him. You can't even see that. It's gone. Oh no! Okay, wow. I am completely blind. Okay, sorry, I'm retarded. There was this. I just wasn't paying attention to it. Okay. I had a Biden moment there. I had, ironically enough, a Biden moment. Or it just wasn't loading properly, which is entirely possible because this is X. Okay. Sorry. So I decided not to accept the nomination, to focus all my energies on my duties as president for the remainder of my term. My very first decision as the party nominee. Okay. Today I want to offer my full support and endorsement for Kamala to be the nominee leader of a party this year. Democrats, it's time to come together and beat Trump. Let's do this. Okay, that was actually not a bit. That was actually not a bit. It's been a long day, guys. Okay, but yeah, let's finish the job. I just gave to Kamala Harris. But no, I don't think we've seen Biden in person in a couple days. So it's curious. It's very curious. So I don't know. I don't know if Biden's dead, if he's under house arrest, if they have him in a medically induced coma, or something like that. It's hard to know. But my point is, judging by everything that's happened over the last 48 hours or so, or the last 3 days, it's pretty obvious that Biden was forced to resign. I mean, does anyone think he wasn't forced to resign? Is there like anybody who's in doubt over that? Literally 48 hours ago, he was saying, you're going to have to like basically pry it out of the office, out of my cold dead hands. And now it's just this bizarre statement comes out. Now, the behind the scenes that we've heard so far is that there's multiple major factions in the Democratic Party. The two biggest factions at the moment are the Obama faction and the Clinton faction. So the Clinton faction was in favor of Biden staying on, and the Obama faction was in favor of Biden leaving. My understanding is Kamala was associated with the Obama faction, and it was a compromise of sorts wherein Biden would be the nominee and Kamala would be the vice president to appease both sides of the Democratic Party. Now, the day this happened, the Clintons had actually come out and endorsed Biden and supported him and wanted him to and said that he has their full support, and he resigned later. So I think Obama has done some sort of coup from behind the scenes, and he won the power struggle. So it looks like the Obama faction is ascendant at the moment. Now let's look at what Obama's statement is. Here's my full statement. Let me just try to find the We will be navigating uncharted waters in the days ahead, but I have extraordinary confidence that the leaders of our party will be able to create a process from which an outstanding nominee will emerge. Now, keep in mind that Biden has, Obama here has not endorsed Kamala. I think that's very important to keep in mind. I don't even know. We'll see if Kamala's even mentioned here. I believe that Joe Biden's vision of a generous, prosperous, and united America that provides opportunity to everyone will be on full display at the Democratic Convention in August, and I believe that every single one of us are prepared to carry that message of hope and progress forward into November and beyond. So I don't think Kamala is even referenced. No, Kamala's not even referenced. So Obama is not, to the best of my knowledge, endorsed Kamala. So there's multiple things in this. It could just be that he's just waiting for everybody else to put his cards on the table. That he's waiting to see where the dust settles, if Kamala is going to emerge from this on top, then he'll endorse her. If it looks like somebody else is in a position to deal with it, then if there's someone else, it looks like someone else could possibly be the nominee, he'll back them. If it's close, he'll be able to back who he wants. So at the moment, he's just saying, oh, the party's going to decide. I'm going to be the respected elder statesman. I'm going to, do that. So I think that is what Obama's game is at the moment. Now, what his end game is, if he has one, I'm not entirely sure. If his goal is to pick somebody other than Kamala or just to pick Kamala, I'm not entirely sure. Why are people raving over Nope? Nope was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. That's just a complete side note. Okay, let's see here. Okay, current status of flags. No, they're at full staff. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, I don't know. Unless that's wrong, it looks like that they're not. So that might be a, yeah. So, like I said, there's the Obama faction and there's the Clinton faction. Now, I'm not sure how exactly the various members of Biden's cabinet fell into that. If, like, who was aligned with which faction. I don't think it's really an ideological distinction between the two as much as it's a patronage thing. Wherein it depends which side is... That's what I saw on Twitter. Sorry, Arjun. It's okay, Mongoose Man. You were a victim of Russian bots and fake news. So... that's kind of the situation. I think that they realize that Biden might not even make it to the election, let alone be able to face Trump and beat him in November. So I think what they figured is, okay, let's try to make this less bad. So we'll have Kamala. The presidential election is fucked at this point. There's basically no chance that Kamala is going to win. Somebody had the schizo theory that the whole goal was to assassinate Trump and then have Kamala resign, then have Biden resign. So then we were going to have a Kamala versus Nikki Haley. And then that would be the only scenario that the Democrats could win, is if they had Nikki Haley going up against Kamala Harris, that would be a race to the bottom, and they might be able to get it close enough that ethics in video game journalism can put them over the top. That's the schizo theory that I've heard. which is interesting theory. So the problem now that we're having is, since Trump has announced J.D. Vance as his VP, if Trump dies, then I think J.D. Vance will be the nominee. So they can't do that anymore. The horizon of assassinating Trump to get Nikki Haley or some loser to be his successor is gone now. So RCP, let's see what the recent results are. Look, it still says Biden. That's funny. I guess they just haven't done it yet. Yeah, so Trump is winning the popular vote by a lot at the moment. Let's see here. Yeah, in every single swing state, Trump is up by like a lean to likely margin. With the exception of maybe Michigan. No, Michigan. Yeah, no, Michigan is a tilt. Okay, so maybe not Michigan. I don't see Wisconsin here. Oh, no, Wisconsin. Yeah, Wisconsin's a lead margin. Okay. So I think the idea... Okay, so that didn't work. So what they're going to do now is they go, okay, we're fucked for the presidential election. We can't assassinate Trump anymore. What we're going to do is we're going to try to hold on to the Senate and Congress. So what we'll do is we're going to throw Biden under the bus. We're going to distance ourselves from Kamala. The various members of the party are going to be like, we have no idea who Kamala is. We've never heard of her. Just vote for us because of all the successful things that Darkside Brandon did. And then everything's going to work out. Is what I think the plan was. So who knows? They might still be able to hold on to the Senate because the Senate is... The Republicans will find some way to fuck it up. I'm somewhat confident that regardless of what happens, the Republicans are so incompetent that they'll probably screw it up. Like, if we look at this, we have the Republicans are projected to get 50 Senate seats and 7 are toss-up. I would not be surprised if they lost all 7 toss-ups and multiple safe seats. They are that inept when it comes to anything. So that's true. Can you imagine what a Kamala Nikki Haley debate would be like? They're just catty at each other and they're debating over who's going to invade more random countries. Yeah. Another question is, who will commit suicide first? Will Stencil or Richard Spencer? Okay. So then, let's turn on to the Biden's legacy. So what is the state of America at the moment? America it's a mess. And I think, and the title of this very much, I think, summarizes the entire Biden legacy. Biden, I don't know if he was always a weak man, but during his presidency, was an extremely weak man. He at no point, and I think this is pretty obvious from when he decided to run, has had his hand on the wheel. At no point was he in any way in control of the country, in control of his party, in control of the means of government. No one, it was just nothing. You had a complete and total lack of leadership. And so what was able to happen is everybody was able to do pretty much whatever they wanted. Now, I talked about this the other day with regards to the anarchy in the UK. So, it was England at the time. So, what wound up happening is, I think it was, I can't forget if it was Henry II or Henry III. Anyways, the king died and he had no male heirs. So he left the throne to Matilda, his daughter. Now, Stephen of Blois, who was vaguely, I think he was the like nephew or great nephew or something like that of Henry, said, "I'm actually king." So he ran to England. He stole the royal treasury, and he had himself crowned by the nobility. And we had like a 20-year long, or however long the anarchy was, civil war between the two of them. And even though it was pretty obvious that Stephen's claim was complete bullshit, a lot of people sided with him because he was this nice guy. He was a weak man, and yes, the Dance of the Dragons is based on the anarchy, but people were happy about that. However, so they were able to do whatever they want, settle scores, raid each other's land, build their own like illegal castles, stuff like that. But by the end of the anarchy, everyone was just craving strong leadership again, because everyone was just completely tired of the whole thing happening, and they wanted leadership. They wanted decisive stuff like that. And under Biden, there's been no decisive action on anything. We had this... I mean, let's just go through. What are some of the major events of the Biden presidency? I guess we had the aftermath of COVID, where they just kept pumping money into the economy. Let's look at the debt, because my understanding is, haven't they just been pumping money into the economy this whole time? I think the debt's been going up by $1 trillion. Been going up by $1 trillion every 100 days or something like that. Let's see, where's Biden? Great Recession. Yeah. So after Biden became president, the debt is just like, it's just reaching catastrophic levels. I mean, it was bad under Trump, but it's just, I think it's going up literally by $1 trillion every 100 days or something like that. That's funny. You have the same, that kind of looks like the Wisconsin election graph. Kind of reminds me a bit of that. But yeah, in the time Biden's been in office, it's massively increased. Inflation's gone way up due to money printing. But I just feel like he was never able to really commit to anything. Can anyone here describe what Biden's like economic policy was? What his tax policy was? What any of his policies were? I feel like you had just a complete lack of any kind of coherent worldview, coherent vision for America over the course of his time in office. I feel like nobody really knew what was going on at any given time while he was in power. I can't even think of it. Did we have some big like legislative win? Like, did they pass health care? Did they do a crime? Let's see what Bidenomics is. Let's take a look. What is Bidenomics? Bidenomics. Okay, what is Bidenomics? Largely in opposition to Reaganomics. The goal of focused, extend healthcare access, increase taxes for the wealthy, make major investments in green energy and other infrastructure to support the middle class. The American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, Build Back Better, which was, I think, just wasn't that just printing $2 trillion and just giving it to people? Got the Inflation Reduction Act. What was the Inflation Reduction Act? It increased taxes. That was the way of reducing inflation. How by building the economy from the middle and bottom up. Belief that okay, so did they actually redistribute wealth though? I don't even know. Investing in America. The Chips and Science Act. Worker empowerment. Bidenomics versus Reaganomics. I don't know. I feel like there wasn't really a coherent policy beyond some vaguely. Did America's CO2 emissions even go down? Maybe they did. Or can we even really tell, because COVID dramatically reduced it because no one was going anywhere. So I don't know. It's hard to tell. Let's see here. Okay, money supply. Okay, yeah. So, okay. There we go. The Federal Reserve. I'm just trying to find, because I think the money supply, like, when Biden... I'm just trying to find it. Why is this stuff always so hard to find? No, that's not what I'm looking for. Okay, so I don't know if that's real or not. U.S. money and interest rates. Actually, no. It looks like that is true. That the money supply, like, is that quintupled? Let's see here. How much did that go up? Okay, the money supply went up like 1,000% over the course of like a year. Look up the Fed balance sheet. Okay. Okay. Federal. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Wow. Was that Trump, though, or was that Biden when that wound up happening? Because wasn't Trump still in office when this occurred? Because this is 2020, right? Biden didn't become president until 2021. But we can clearly see that, yeah, just the money printing just kind of continued on. Unabated. Although, why is it saying that the Treasury securities are going down? I don't know. Anyway, so that's the one aspect. I'm gonna be honest, I don't entirely understand Bidenomics. It clearly didn't really work particularly well. Let me say inflation rates. When you look at the inflation rate, yeah, it's been just extremely high since Biden came to power. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be the yearly inflation rate, or I always find it confusing how inflation is calculated in the U.S., but it has gone way, way up since they came to power. So, yeah, it's like they were up to 8 or 9%, which is a ridiculous amount. And I think the inflation rate is fake, to be honest, because I feel like it doesn't accurately capture certain things like food and rent. Let's see, U.S. rent rates. I'm just seeing if there's a thing on how much rent has gone up. Come on. You can load. I'm trying to find the 2024. Okay, so it looks like over the course of Biden's regime, the cost of rents doubled. No, maybe not doubled. Okay, so when he took power, they were at about $1,800, and now they're, let me see, how much is that? Single family, is this rent or is that per square foot? No, that's rent. Okay. So it is up, let's see here. Okay, 280 divided by 1,800. Okay, so it's up about 56% over the last year or so. If we look at this, rent inflation, yeah. Rent to income ratio under Bidenomics has gone up like, wow, 6%. The housing bubble, the pandemic boom. Yeah. That's the thing, because when they talk about, let's see here. Here we go, visual capitalist. Yeah, so under Bidenomics, yeah, just affordability skyrocketed. Once again, if we're supposed to believe that inflation is like 7% or something like that, that would mean, I don't know if they act like, I don't know if housing is just not a very large percentage of that. I don't know if food inflation is not a very large percent of that. I always kind of wonder how it's actually working, actually calculated. Anyways, so yeah, so stuff has basically been a mess for the last couple of years. Now let's talk about the state of the world at the moment. Okay, so let's start off. Let's think about this for a minute. Are there any countries that Biden has a better? I guess the only countries I can think of that the U.S.'s relationship with has improved is with Europe. I think that's it. I think the Europeans like Biden, but if we look at all the countries with whom America's relationship has degenerated with, we have Russia, they're almost at war with. China, they're almost at war with. North Korea, things have gotten worse. India have gotten worse. VOD gang here, dropping a super chat like a flashbang. We'll catch up on this tomorrow. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thank you. I need that money to pay my bills. I don't know. We had you had the coups in Africa, Niger. I forget if Burkina Faso and Mali also happened under Biden, but that whole relationship got destroyed. The relationship with Turkey got destroyed. Keep in mind, Turkey had been one of America's longest, most loyal allies, but they got completely screwed over the whole Kurdish thing. Although that was partially Obama and Trump's fault, but they didn't make it better. The relationship with Saudi Arabia and Egypt declined. You had the whole Israel thing that happened, the Afghanistan thing. I think relations with South Africa have deteriorated quite a bit. Basically everywhere in the world other than Europe and maybe Argentina and the Philippines, things have gotten like worse. Like nobody likes the US anymore. So I'd say though the biggest losers though of the whole Biden legacy are the Europeans. I think because the Europeans just wedded themselves. They mated themselves to the dark side Brandon. They thought that Brandon was like this hero who was going to save them, who was going to give them immortality, that he was like the modern Alexander the Great, who's going to lead them to a defeat, like to beat Russia. And they just went all in on Dark Side Brandon. And what wound up happening is I don't know if you guys recall, but the Europeans have been shitting on Trump for a long time now. Like they won't talk to him. They keep saying he's evil. They say he's crazy. They say they won't do business with him. They aren't even willing to try to have cordial relationships with him. They were so convinced that Brandon was going to win re-election that pretty much all of them have just 100% burned their bridges with Trump. They've just been openly hostile to him. And like, what's going to happen now? If Trump becomes president again, how is he going to deal with Olaf Scholz and Macron and Karl Starmer or any of these people who have been shitting on Trump for years? How are like any of them going to deal with him? You might say, well, maybe Trump is going to try to get revenge on them or something like that. And it was so unnecessary. Also, you also have Project Ukraine, of course. I still don't entirely know, like... So Europe has just completely wedded itself to Biden. They were so confident in Darkside Brandon's ability to defeat Russia and to be a king in the Chad and to remake the world in his image that they decided to... one second, let me just... to go all in on Project Ukraine, and part of that was cutting off the supply of gas. So Germany and France and Poland and Italy and all these guys were like, Brandon will keep us young, Brandon will give us oil, so we're going to cut off our energy to Russia. We're going to let Brandon blow up Nord Stream. We're going to let him send us basically all into recession. And he's going to help us. So now the scenario you're coming across is you have Trump coming to power, and Trump isn't going to put up with it. He has no real reason to treat any of the European allies, with maybe the exception of Orban and one or two other countries, with kid gloves. So he's not going to be very nice to them. I mean, the whole idea that Trump is going to leave NATO is retarded. Like, if anyone can tell me where Trump has ever said that he's going to leave NATO, please do. I think he said that the U.S. would not defend Europe if they didn't start paying their fair share of NATO's defense budget. I'm pretty sure that that was what happened. But the EU is going through a complete and total crisis at the moment. It's an economic meltdown. You have the supposed surge of populist members. We're getting to the point where they the EU tried to whack Robert Fico, where they're talking about removing Hungary's voting rights and sanctioning them and maybe kicking them out of the EU. Ukraine is collapsing. I don't know if you guys saw, but Germany is having its support to Ukraine next year. And you just have all kinds of just insane stuff going on in Europe. And Trump's not going to save them. Trump is not going to bail them out of this one. Not that I even know if he can, if he wanted to. At this point in time, the Europeans will wait out Trump. It's just 4 years, but it's not. I don't think Europe has 4 years. I don't think they have the time to. They have that long. Most of their economies are in free fall at this point in time, and Russia's going to win probably in Ukraine in the next year or so. And that's going to make things even worse. And I mean, we also did, I was talking about it, I did that stream the other day about the whole scenario involving the arms manufacturing, how America is dependent on China and one factory in Poland and the factory in Ukraine that got taken over by Russia for gunpowder and explosives and stuff like that. So who even knows if America is going to be able to rearm? Biden's given away a lot of America's stuff to Ukraine, and maybe not a lot of their most advanced gadgets, but basic things like ammunition or artillery shells or stuff like that. And the whole policy towards Ukraine has just been this indecisive, we're going to keep escalating, but we're not going to escalate in a way that'll actually turn the war around. So it's just, the whole thing is just a mess at this point in time. I don't know, Constantine, if you've been following, but it's looking like the Donbass front is just imploding at the moment. Putin has said, or no, I think is it Arestovich? Whoever Putin's spokesman said, we don't care what's going on in Washington. We have a plan and we're sticking to it. So, yeah, so Russia just keeps pushing, but here's the question. Okay, here's the question. If you're Xi Jinping, and he said this numerous times, and you want to make a deal with America, who do you talk to in the U.S.? Let's say Xi's okay, we got this tariff disagreement. Who is he going to call? Does he call Biden? Peskov, that's his name, Peskov. Is he going to call Biden? Is he going to call Blinken? Is he going to call Yellen? Is he going to call Jake the Snake Sullivan? Who is he going to call? What was I saying again? Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a minute. Wow, I just had another Biden moment there. But yeah, no, it's a mess. It's just the whole thing is one massive mess. So I don't know who they call. I guess Tony Blinken maybe is who they call. I just don't know. I just don't know who like they would even talk to. So I've heard speculation that maybe China, like even if Trump is on the surface hostile to China, although I think Xi and Trump had at least a cordial relationship on a political level, a cordial on a cordial level, whereas Biden and Xi just have an openly antagonistic one. But no, the issue is like no one's at the wheel. Who's running America's foreign policy? Who's running America's domestic policy? Who, like, once again, if you're China or Russia or whoever, like if Russia wants to negotiate an end to the war, who are they going to talk to? Are they going to talk to Biden? Are they going to talk to Blinken? Are they going to talk to Dr. Jill? At this point, we just don't really know because there's no one who's clearly in control of the government in Washington. So it's got to be scary. So the other question I've seen is what's going to happen with regards to the last couple months of Biden's presidency. So there's been a lot of pressure on him to resign and to leave. Because people say if he's not capable of running for re-election, then he's not capable of being president. So he should just go at this point in time. But maybe Biden, if he stays on, goes, we're going to massively expand the war with Russia. We're going to try to make a hot war. We're going to attack Iran. We're going to do something so I can secure my legacy. Maybe it'll be like this. Oh no, that's not in the Soviet story. That's in the Allied story. Maybe it'll go something like this.
Or surrender.
You know, we'll retaliate.
Okay.
I am.
Maybe it'll be like this. Maybe this is what's going to happen.
Da, Premier Romanov here.
What's going on over there, Alex?
Why, Mr. President, whatever do you mean?
Alex, I have, you're throwing everything you've got at us, Alex. We're supposed to be allies, you maniac. I'm the one that put you into office.
Listen very carefully. I am not your pet, Mr. President. We Romanovs have our legacy to consider.
I don't give a wooden nickel about your legacy. You call them off. Alex, you call them off. You know, we'll retaliate.
Oh, don't be so sure, Mr. President.
So that could be what the last couple months of the Biden presidency is, where he's going to do that. So there's also the question of what winds up happening with if Kamala was to take power. Where does it go after that? Like she has to put her team together. She has to, is she going to keep Lincoln and all those guys on and they're going to still be controlling her? She doesn't have enough time to come up with her own policy. The other issue is if she decides to stay in as VP and Biden stays in as president, then she's tacitly endorsing all the messes and disasters that happen throughout his thing. The basic point I'm trying to make, I'm sorry if this has been a little bit incoherent, but there's no one who you can call. You can't even call the Ghostbusters. Like, if Russia, if Germany, if France, if someone in the US wants to talk to the leader of the country, there's no obvious person in charge of the country. And that is a very scary place to be. When you have a nuclear superpower and nobody's at the helm, it's just kind of drifting. And you're run by morons like Blinken and Sullivan and all those guys. And stuff like that. Now, I'd like to address a comment in the chat because I think it is a fair comment, and I generally address them. Trent Clayson says, do you know how many damn times he said such and such front is collapsing and it never does? Okay, so firstly, I've said in the past, I've made the mistake of buying into the UCU narrative a bit myself. I get excited. I'm not as bad, I think, as like DMAT Military Summary Channel or Defense Politics Asia or some of the other people. But I do get excited sometimes, and I do try to ham it up a bit and say this is the time, this is the moment. So I will admit, I'm trying to do a show here. I sometimes get a little sensational. I sometimes play it up a bit. So that is fair. I have also said, though, and I've said this increasingly as time goes on, that things are just going to keep going the way they are until they don't. Ukraine is continuing to take massive casualties. They're continuing to have their air defenses blown up, their artillery blown up, their tanks blown up. They're continuing to lose fortified cities. The front line is moving. It's moving slowly but surely. So is it collapsing? It's kind of a slow motion collapse. It might be better to say that the Russians are making progress. I think everyone, myself included, has been surprised by how long Ukraine's held on, considering how the situation's going, and considering that there isn't really much hope of it turning around, especially post-spring offensive. But, like, if we look at it, as I've said, like, Avdiivka fell, Bakhmut fell, New York, I think, is falling. A bunch of Ukrainian divisions are cut off. The situation just keeps getting worse and worse. The question, though, is Russia going to launch a major offensive, or are they just going to keep slowly going forward? I don't know. It seems like the Russians have decided that they're going to keep going forward, and the war will end when it ends. And things are going in their favor. It's causing a lot of problems in Europe and the US. So there's not really any need to try to bring the thing to conclusion as quickly as possible. The thing is, we've had a lot of near misses in this entire conflict, where it looks like something's going to happen. But I think that's also kind of part of a deliberate plan on Russia's behalf, where they are trying to be strategically ambiguous, where they make it look like they're going to do something and then they don't, and then they go a different way. So have I played it up and hammed it up? Yes, I probably have. I've gotten overexcited. I'm not going to pretend I haven't. But is Ukraine taking catastrophic losses now on a daily basis? Are they losing fortified positions on a daily basis? Yes. They're continually losing. It's just, once again, this is a war of attrition. Russia doesn't see any point in trying to end it faster by increasing the number of losses they're taking. And it's hard to grasp that because we haven't really seen something like this. I think it was the Iran-Iraq war the last time we saw like a large conventional war that went on for a prolonged period of time. I could be wrong. I feel like that is really the last time. So, yeah, I think that's a reasonable criticism. I need to try to be less sensational about it, but I don't know. The situation has progressively been getting worse, and it will continue to get worse. Have you watched any of poor Martin State's videos on Ukraine? No, I haven't. I don't know who that is really. So, anyways, hopefully we covered a lot of it, but sorry if that was not the most coherent. I just kind of wanted to get on. Just a final note, and I'm going to do probably a parody video on this. I do find it funny how people are yelling like Trump is a felon. He can't be president because he's a felon. Felons are evil. Felons are 100% guilty. Felons are scum. They're evil. And it's like, guys, you're throwing all the black men under the bus. Like, suddenly the American justice system is like the most fair, truthful, and honest system in the world. Suddenly it's like it's the best justice system ever, and it's just, for whatever reason, it seems like they just jumped on board with that. And I just do find it funny because Black Lives Matter was them saying, oh, the cops are evil, the judges are all corrupt. And now Trump gets convicted of a crime that no one can even describe. And it's like, no, people who are felons deserve to be killed. People who are felons deserve to be like lynched in the streets. So I do find that whole thing kind of funny. Also, the fact that people are saying that Trump is too old to be president now, when they were saying for years now that Biden was like, the age was not a factor for him. So that's about all I had to say. I hope people enjoyed the stream. Hope you learned something. Have a great week, everybody. In the words of the late, the great